every single one of them went. They sold for, every single one of them sold for over $200, which was
That's cool.
which was the goal. I mean, that was the initial goal. It's just like we just need to surpass that $200 mark. We get anything over $200 and we're off to the races, you know? So it's like, but it was like those first couple of days of like looking at the sheets and I'm like, "Oh, like nobody's really bid anything yet. Crap, you know? And
Yeah.
then by the time that third day happened, like all the sheets were filling up and people were really into it and you could tell people were coming back and being like, crap, somebody outbid me and come back and fill it out again and then that final day, like people who really wanted them were like, there was one guy, his name is Joel. I don't know his last name. Massive Chimera fan. I mean, he was Chimera out the whole show. He had a Chimera
Dude,
hat. He had a Chimera backpack.
he had
He
like
had
12 fucking drumsticks hanging out his backpack.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I gave him a drumstick after one of the Chimera shows too. But like he was not letting that Mark Hunter one go. He was like, He's like, anybody that shows up, I'm outbidding them and fuck them and and I was just like, all right, cool, So that was the cool thing, was that people did take it very seriously, but but again, it's like without people didn't a lot of people just didn't have a frame of reference on what they were or why they were,
Right.
so again, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, a little bit more education, a little bit more foresight, on my end, on Six Man's end, because now that they've seen what it can do, like now we at least can go, okay, we're ready to do this for art. Can we do this for next year? Great. We can start getting photos now. We can start getting stuff now and start going, okay, that I want to, because I like Clutch is playing next year,
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorite bands. I want to do one of Neil from the Burning Beard video. Like just where he's like the preacher just there like in front of the congregation. Like I want that I want to make that pop. Lamb of God's doing all of Palace's Burn. So I would love to do like Randy, because we did Randy from the Late to Rest video this time
Yeah.
around. So I would love to do one from like when they did, I don't know, whatever, Ruin or 11th Hour or something like that. You know, and then, same, just like that kind of thing. That's why we had so much fun with it, because it was just like, I mean, come on, who would have ever thought that Mike Williams from I Hate God would ever get a pop, man? It was like stuff like that was just so much fun to make. Just like I've been an I Hate God fan since God, 1994,
Uh,
So it's
I
like
came a
to
little later. It was like 96 for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, the first time I saw them was, I think it was either at CBGB's or Wetlands or something like that in New York, and I just remember being like, "Oh my God, it's like the ugliest music I've ever heard." I'm like, I need more of this, man. So I discovered like them, who is it? Them, Buzz Oven, like just like all these like Louisiana, North Carolina, Southern sludge bands that I was just like, oh, this stuff is amazing. And then, what was it? Like Iron Monkey from the UK started to come into it, and just I was so immersed in that crust metal punk shit that I was like, oh, this is my vibe. This is how ugly I feel on the inside, but then to see like almost like what amounts to like a Precious Moments version of Mike Williams,
Yeah.
it's just, it makes me laugh. But like when he saw it, and because I was in the talent lounge when everybody had to come in and I had them sign theirs and everything, and he saw it and he was just like, just the look on his face, because again, it's like nobody ever thinks about like what would I look like as an action figure, or what would I look like as a you know figurine or whatever, like nobody thinks about that. But to see some of those people just like, are you kidding me with this right now? Like, nah, this is you, and you could just tell that they're like, as soon as they saw it, you could see like the gears turning in their head, like, how do we make this more of a thing, you know? And that was the best part, was just, kind of just because that's the thing too, when you're doing something that's custom and it's all hand done, people were like, "Oh, can I see what it looks like before you make it?" And I'm like, "No, we
No.
work off of the picture and that's what we make. Like there's no prototyping when it comes to this sort of thing." So it's like on the one hand, I'm excited to make it. I see it and I'm like, "Oh my God, that looks amazing." But then the biggest fear is the person looking at it and being like, "Really?" Like, like not liking it,
Yeah.
That's the biggest fear. That's the biggest, most anxiety inducing feeling when it comes to doing these customs, is the idea of, oh my God, like I think it looks great. I think it looks just like the picture. everybody I'm talking to loves it. My team loves it. Everybody's proud of it. And then you show it to the person and they're like, I don't know. It's like you're just kind of like it's kind of crushing, you
Fuck.
know.
Yeah.
But everybody was so into it. Marta from Bleeding Through was so in love with hers. Actually, it was really funny. Her and Jeffrey from Poison the Well bid on each other's. And then when they both won, they gifted each other's to the other person. So
Oh,
Marta
that's
got
cool.
hers. Yeah, so Marta got hers and Jeff got his, you know. And there was a part of me where I was like, this technically was for the fans, you know. But at the same time, they're fans of each other, and that is, just as relevant in my opinion, you know. Uh,
Absolutely fucking lootly.
yeah, I think it would have been one because like Gloria Cavallero was like, oh, I might just bid on Max's and put like $1,000 just so we can have it. And I was like, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind that. Having an extra grand would be fucking phenomenal. But in a way, it's kind of like it is for the fans, like
Right.
that's kind of, but she wanted to take it and make it into like another kind of charitable auction kind of thing. But that was the other thing, the fact that it was being done for charity and it wasn't money going into my pocket. It wasn't money going into Six Man's pocket. It wasn't, the all of the monies that were made past cost of goods was split between the two charities. What is it? We Write Love on Her Arms.
Oh,
And
to write love on our arms.
To Write
Yeah.
Love on Her Arms. Thank you. To Write Love on Her Arms. And the World Bamboo Foundation. So I was like, hey, you know what? If it's going to them, cool. And I think that was why a lot of people were like 200, 500, 900. Like they were just kind of like it's for charity. Like just you
Well,
know
I don't think people think about it that much when you get into it. They're more like, I'm a merch whore. You know what I mean? Like if there's something cool out there, I don't mind paying an exorbitant amount so I can have, especially like a one of one,
that's exactly it.
you know?
That's why it's like my my three favorites were Mike Williams, Marta from Bleeding Through, and the William Murderface. Those were my three favorites that we did for this round. Um, and that's a hard part for me too because I'm a big collector. I know my house right now is a fucking mess, but like I have vinyl records and Star Wars stuff and GI Joe, and I'm a collector of so many different things. I don't know, you
Yeah.
probably can't see it, but I have like a 7 foot Han Solo in carbonite up above my fireplace. You know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan and everything. And it's like to see these and be like, I want a Mike Williams one too,
Right.
But I'm like, great. Like, I don't need, I need more pops. Like, I need more brown skin, man.
Yeah.
I just don't need anymore. My wife has three pops and like four custom action figures of herself. I'm like, I don't even have that many, you
Like
know?
fuck.
Yeah. So we have her. I mean, I have her as a school nurse. I have her as a Freddy Krueger, who's her favorite character. I have her, just when she like in her kind of concert gear, she's got like this blood splattered skirt and everything. So it's like it's just fun to make one of her, and I have a new one coming out of her that she doesn't know about just yet. But it's fun to make stuff like that, and we've gifted them to people which is also fun because they're never, again, when you get it, you're just like, what is, and you're just like, and it takes people's brains a minute to really adjust to, like, is that me? It's
Yeah.
like, holy shit, that is me. Like it takes people a minute to really, really understand like the scope of it because again, custom figures, if I told you I could paint you as a, stormtrooper, that's never going to be like the first thing on your mind.
Not at all.
Is you in the stormtrooper outfit holding a helmet and being like that I had a painting commissioned of me as that. Like it's never the first thing on your mind. But as soon as like somebody's like, I can do this for you, you're just like, really? Like, huh? And then when you get it, you're like, wait, wait, that's me? Like, really? Like again, it takes people a minute to really adjust to that concept, and that's why it's like it's really this wonderful situation of kind of like they see it, they're confused, then they see it, they're shocked, then they see it and they're in awe, and then they're just like, and then after that, it's just kind of like this like wow feeling, like it's just like this like really weird stage of
Range of
emotions they go.
emotions.
Yeah, it's like like the stages of grief kind of thing, but it's like the stages of having a custom action figure.
Right.
I should make a thing of that where it's just like, acceptance, denial. That's not me,
You
that
should. You
kind of
should
thing.
do a little fucking video.
Yeah, right. That would actually be really fun. I have like photos of people who are opening it. Like we did a set for a friend, some friends of ours. One of them is Dirk from Megadeth, the drummer, and his wife, who I love the both of them more than anything. My wife, and them go bowling like 3 times a month. Like that's our favorite thing to do is just go bowling. And so my wife was like, we should make pops of that. And I was like, yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So we did that. We gave it to him. I think it was for Christmas last year. And just I took all the pictures, and you can see them opening it, and then they take it out and they look at it, and it's like kind of confusion, and then they're like, "Oh my God!" And then they're like looking at it, and then they start really looking at it and seeing the details, and it was just like this whole range of emotions and like 10 photos, just watching them go from like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," to finally like, "Oh my God, we love it," and now it's like when I go to their house, it's just in this one spot, like right in their living room, just like I'm like, for me, it's just a cool sort of pride thing.
Hell
But
yeah.
but yeah, no, that's the fun part about it.
Those are super, super fucking cool. It would be a lot of fun to be on, that end of it and be able to just come up with the ideas and hey, do this and that. This will help here. Like you've got a fucking brain, I think that a lot of people really want because I I like to think
I
I'm
don't
good
want,
at branding, but I don't fucking like I don't
you
have
know,
that.
my marketing teacher, my marketing PR teacher in college said something that stuck with me. I really feel like I should get it tattooed at some point. She said that marketing is convincing people that chicken shit is chicken salad. And that's always stuck with me because you can look at something like a custom Funko Pop or a custom action figure or a koozie or a lighter or whatever, and people can look at it and just be like, oh, well, that's just this, you know. But when you can show people that what you used to think almost no longer applies. Now it's this new way of thinking. That's why it's not about being like, "Oh, I'm going to sell you, a broken vacuum cleaner and convince you that it works." It's not about
Right.
that. It's about dispelling uh, um, preconceived notions. That's why it's like, like it's not that it's chicken shit, it's that it's chicken shit in people's minds until they realize that the chicken shit is actually chicken salad. It's like, I don't want to eat carrots. They're gross and blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly you eat one and you're like, oh, wait, and this can make me healthy? Okay, cool. It's like, you go from one perspective. I mean, God, I didn't eat mustard until I was about 27 years old.
Oh,
I didn't like it. I didn't think it would taste good. I hated the smell. And then I was at a concert in New York. And when I was leaving the show, and something compelled me to go, I'm going to get a pretzel from one of these pretzel, stands, and I want mustard on it. And I just remember taking that first bite and being like, I've been missing out on this whole time, like,
yeah.
so it's kind of that same sort of vibe of being able to kind of dispel your preconceived notions and actually see the use in something that you might have thought was kind of useless or stupid. And that's really what it's all about. So that's kind of the way that I like to look at things is like, how do you take something and make it into something that's, both cool and useful? Something that people just aren't thinking about. Like, here, I'll give you another example. So we make a new kind of scrim, right? Like scrims on the side of the stage, right? The
Yeah.
little squares. And we make one now where we can do it double-sided. So you build the frame. The frame's super easy. It's like click, 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 and then you put this graphic on top of it like a condom almost. So you just put it and over the top, and then you zip it on the bottom. Keeps it nice and tight. Everything looks great. But now we can do it double-sided. So I'm telling bands now, I'm like, look, instead of just coming out and having your one scrim, I'm like halfway through the show, have your roadies or your tech come out and turn it around, and you suddenly have a new stage show you know? So now we've taken something that's normally just considered this sort of accessory, and now we're making it into something that almost changes your entire stage production in one swivel. So that's kind of what I like to help people sort of see is like, look, there's a way to make this work. I say the same thing about koozies. 'Cause every band has koozies. Everybody's got. I mean, fuck, dude. For my wedding last year on the boat, we gave out koozies. You know, but what I always tell people is, if you're in a band, make your koozies. Typically they shouldn't cost more. For a full color, crazy full color one, it's usually about a buck 20 each. But if you just do a one color, I can get them down to about 80 cents, right? 70, 80 cents, whatever. And what you do is you keep the ones for your merch booth, selling at $5, whatever, five, $8, whatever you charge them, and then always keep 3 to 4 on you, because you might find the fan who's just on the fence, or who's buying merch for another band, so their money's kind of already, you know,
Spoken for.
yeah, spoken for, exactly, allotted for. Um, like, there's always going to be that. Or, just like I said, like a kid who just doesn't have money, but comes up to you and is like, dude, I love your band. I wish I could buy a shirt, and you just go, you know what, dude, here. You're giving them an 80-cent item and potentially making a fan for life. One little thing. You don't have to stand outside of the concert and hand out koozies to everybody, because I'm very much a proponent of, if everyone's special, no one's special,
Right.
you know? So that's kind of why, also, for the Pops, one of one, you're the only person in the world who owns this right now and will ever own this until you sell it or get rid of it for whatever reason. You're the only person. We're never gonna reprint the same box. We're never gonna reprint the same figure. Blah blah blah. Even if somebody came up and they were just like, "I want that Randy one," from the Late to Rest video. Okay, but inherently, because it's done by hand, it's gonna be a little bit different. So that's always my thing. Is like, it's just making that, giving that experience to people. But again, just using merch, not just as, we need to sell this, but as a way to also reach out to fans who, like I said, who are on the fence and can become fans, who are fans who now become bigger fans,
Yeah.
because now they're the band they really like, just hooked them up with something for free,
That
you
was
know?
always, I always enjoyed that. Like do you remember a band called Battle Cross?
Yes, of course.
Love the shit out of those
Yeah,
guys.
I saw them a bunch of times.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
Like 30 plus, like insane. There's a dude in Ireland. They had the Battle Cross Waffle House shirts. Dude in Ireland's like, I fucking want one of those. I hit the guys up like, hey, listen, I'm gonna buy a shirt. You guys all sign it. We'll fucking ship it to them. Hell yeah. I'm
Right.
sure the guy got it, and I'm sure he's a fucking diehard fan, but what was
You
it,
know?
$40? Who gives a
Right.
shit?
Right. And that's why I also tell people, I'm like, don't throw shirts out into the crowd. That's your biggest moneymaker.
Yeah.
Like, you could just hand somebody $20 and they'll probably go and follow you on Facebook too, But that's why, like, one of my favorite things I tell people is, A, don't ever throw shirts into a crowd, because shirts are expensive. Even if it's a one color print, shirts are expensive. Unless you're literally making 50,000 of them, and fine, and you don't have to pay anybody back for them, great, here, throw the shirts out. I don't care. But what I always tell people is, instead of doing that, make shirts for little kids.
Hmm.
Do you have kids, Tom?
Oh, do.
You do. How many kids do you have?
Two.
Two. How old are they?
They're old. They're 17 and 20.
Okay, great. Not a problem that they're old. The reason I bring this up is because, as a dad, okay, when they were kids, they're sloppy, they're dirty, all these kinds of things. You know, to have a spare clean shirt, never a bad thing, you know.
Right.
Um, but when it comes to adults, we have the opportunity uh and the here's and the what's the word I'm looking for? The prerogative of going, I'm either going to wear that shirt or I'm not going to wear that shirt. We are allowed to come up with that, situation for ourselves.
Yeah.
So, but little kids do not. So little kids become unintentional billboards. And what you do then is you put your marketing right on the shirt for the kids, because parents are always taking pictures of their kids and putting them up on social media. So now the shirt is being shown. Secondly, you can also be like, hey, take pictures of your kid wearing our shirt and you could win X, Y, and Z. you know? So now people are going to be more apt to have their kids in those shirts promoting, doing whatever, because it could potentially get them to win something. But if I'm at a show and I'm like, you get a Monster Energy shirt and you get a Monster Energy, you're going to look at this Monster Energy shirt and just be like, why did I take this? Like, I don't need a
Right.
Monster Energy shirt because then we can, that's why my favorite is when people are like, well, I could sleep in it. I'm like, all right, that's great. That promotes to, oh, that's right. Nobody,
No one. Yeah.
no one sees your shirt, or I'm going to use it to wash my car. Yeah, that's great. I made a shirt so you can use it as a rag. That's awesome. That's what I always mean. It's like, don't do that kind of thing because that's how people, again, that's how you waste a lot of money, And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Monster Energy or Jägermeister or whoever. It's like, oh, that's a lot of money that goes out that way,
Yeah.
But if you're in a band, that's not the way to get fans, because again, they people love free stuff. People just don't like to use free stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they just want the opportunity to be a part of that mob mentality of I need one, I need one, I need one, and they get it and rip it out of somebody else's hands, and then 9 times out of 10 they'll be like, oh, all right, well, it wasn't even
Yeah.
my size, you know. So
I got it. I
that's
don't care.
yeah,
Yeah.
or I don't care. I mean, that's why it's like I hate it when somebody's like, hey, do you want a free T-shirt? And I'm like, I really don't. Like, I'm not trying to be mean or rude or anything, but like, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to do anything with it. You guys are going to waste your money on me, and I don't want to be a part of that. You know,
Yeah.
but when you find people who have kids and they just need that clean shirt, if your band shirt for that little kid comes in handy, those parents are going to be like, thank you for the shirt. Like, we were at a picnic and, he got chocolate milk all over his original shirt and we needed a shirt and we had yours and da da da, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I
It's
can't tell
kind of
you
a
how many shows I've went to where I'm like, I'm gonna buy my kids a shirt just to have it.
right.
Like,
That's exactly it.
fucking, that's it.
And that's why to me it's it's just one of those things again that people just don't see typically. And
Yeah.
again, there's no reason for them to see it. But I'm the type of guy who looks at things from that point of view. So it's like even when I'm at a concert, like it's funny because people will be like, "Are you not having a good time?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm having a great time." What I'm doing is looking at, what else they can do in their stage production or what they can do here to get the crowd into their show or what, that kind of. So that's what I'm looking at nowadays is like I'm kind of sort of looking at it from the Matrix point of view where I'm looking at the HTML code of everything and going, okay, like some of this coding isn't working. Like we need to change this and this and this so that, it includes the crowd more. It includes this more. One of my big tips for bands nowadays is I tell them make sure you learn a cover song. Okay, because the one thing I hate is when bands are like, "Yeah, people are standing there, they're just doing this." I'm like, "Yeah, nobody knows your fucking songs, dude. Like, what do you think they're gonna do? Fucking go crazy and throw you their underwear? Like, nobody knows your stuff, and you're a death metal band. Nobody even knows what the fuck you're talking about, So it's like to sit there and get angry about stuff like that. I'm like, or you go and you look at it from a new point of view where you can now open it up to the crowd. So I always say, learn a cover song that people typically know. I always tell them to stay away from stuff like Raining Blood, Master of Puppets, Walk, just the usual
Right.
crop of crap, just stuff that's overplayed so much. But try and find something that people know. And then you find and you go, who knows how to sing the song? And then you pick somebody from the crowd to come and sing the song with you. That will give everybody else in the crowd like, what where how wait, so we can get up on stage and do that, like
Right.
that will bring the crowd together even more because now you've made this kid's life, he probably lives in a suburb of whatever big town is, hosting the show, he's in a suburb outside of Minneapolis or whatever. Now it's going to be on video. Somebody's going to be filming this kid. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Facebook. He's got like this digital postcard of him on stage singing a song that he knows with a band that he either just saw for the first time or now that he was on stage and they treated him nice and had him sing this. Like, he's now going to be a fan,
Oh yeah.
you know? Same thing. I was telling another band, I was like, it's so much easier to get like a cheap TV nowadays, that I'm like, dude, just fuck it. If you have a projector or you have TVs, I'm like, put your lyrics up there. Put your lyrics up there. You don't
So
need the lyrics, you know? but the fans do. The fans could use it
Oh
because
yeah.
they don't know your songs. I remember I can't remember what band it was now. I'm trying to think. It was when I was at Roadrunner. I was telling somebody like that's not a band, and they were like, "Nah, it's cheesy, it's stupid, it's." I'm like, "Yeah, but your lyrics are so powerful and so meaningful. But if people don't know what you're saying, then they can't connect to the song.
Right.
Yes, you want to connect to the song because of the maybe the vocals or the music is heavy or the breakdowns or whatever or the blast beats, but the lyrical content is what people latch onto. That's why people love Pantera. That's why people love Slayer. That's why people love a lot of these bands because you can sit there and be like, listen to this love and go, I know exactly how that feels, you
Yeah.
know? And that's the thing. It's like, what, but when people don't know your songs and they're suddenly reading the lyrics, that could be the thing that's like, holy shit, he's singing about his dad, man. That I totally relate to that, you know?
Yeah.
And I find that that's the type because then it also gives you an opportunity to push your songs that have more anthemic vibes to them. So now it brings in more of like an audience participation, so it's like if you want to, or if you want to do a wall of death or something like that, you can do the countdown right on the screen and be like, all right, everybody, 3, 2, 1, blah! Like, but like, there's nothing that sucks more than when a band's like, all right, we're gonna do this wall of death. Okay. And then they kick into the song and everyone's like, wait, we're starting? Like, what the hell happened?
Now
Like,
what the
yeah,
fuck?
now,
Yeah.
now we're doing that. And then like all of a sudden it's like this messy wall of death, but it's like, that's the type of stuff where I'm like, whenever an audience feels like they can be a part of the show, that's when you'll typically get the biggest audience reaction.
Yeah.
That's when you can
So,
get. Mhm.
uh, uh, do you know, are you familiar with Savannah Bananas?
No, but that's a great name. Is
Well, so it's a baseball team.
it Savannah Bananas?
I'm gonna like their fucking games sell out years in advance
Wow, no kidding.
because it's exactly what you're talking about, audience participation. So he started Jesse, I don't remember his last name, but he bought this team, was on the verge of bankruptcy, and was like, we're going to do something different. Tickets at their stadiums like $15. It's all you can eat hot dogs and all you can drink drinks, right? Yeah. And he always wears a fucking yellow suit, but the games they're not, it's not just a game. It's
Right,
not a typical baseball game. You go there, they're fucking singing and dancing out on the field, like throwing the ball, all kinds of
right.
wild shit. But they it grew so much that last year, I think, was the first year they took it out on tour,
Oh, nice.
and you had to be in a lottery to get the fucking tickets.
Right. And so it's very Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's like every time I watch Rocky Horror Picture Show, I'm like, this movie is really not that good.
right.
There's some scenes in it that are fun, but I'm like, overall, I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, oh, man, that was a bit of a slog. But if you go there and you know the things to scream at the right times and you know how to participate, it's a way more fun experience than just sitting there and watching the movie, because now, you can go and, as soon as whatever Frankenfurter says that one line, then the whole crowd's like, "Way!" And like
Yeah,
by the end of it, everyone's like, man, that was so much fun. But it wasn't so much the movie was good; it was just that the experience was fun,
yeah,
And that's really it's really to me the name of the game is that it's the world now is so much more in need of an experiential situation than it is just this idea of like that's why like when people are like oh like downloading killed everything and I'm like no we just needed to pivot and redo the way that we look at it because like I've just been listening to a bunch of just rock autobiographies on like YouTube and stuff like that, and all these bands are like, oh yeah, we sold this many records and that many records, and now the downloading's here. It's like this and this sucks and that, and I'm like, yeah, that's because the paradigm changed. So we
yeah,
used to go, okay, the music is there, then you buy the records, which make the money for the music. And then you go to the concert and you buy the tickets to go and see the music, and then hopefully you'll buy merch. But now we have to switch that all around and go, okay, now your live show has to sell your music,
Yep.
So now your live show has to be the experience. So if you're not going to make it, so if you're just going to be a bunch of dudes on stage playing, that's not necessarily going to be the experience that people are going to walk away with and be like, "Oh, I can't wait to do this again." With the very exception of very few bands, like Slayer, for some reason, those guys can come out there, stand still, and everybody's just like, "This is the greatest show I've ever seen in my life."
Fucking
You know,
Slayer. Yeah.
dude, seeing Slayer at Aftershock was so incredible. Like it was the best
I,
show of the entire festival, and I'm like,
I'm
and these
so
guys,
fucking jealous.
dude, it was yeah, because you guys are supposed to get them for
Louder than life,
Loud
and
and
they it
Life.
it fucking
Got rained
stormed
out.
out.
Rained out. That sucks. So, but you guys are still getting something. They're
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 coming
making it up
back.
somehow. Yeah, they're making it up somehow. So you guys might actually get a much better show,
Well,
and
we'll see.
a much more intimate show, hopefully. But I mean, dude, they were.
No, they're just playing the same thing. They're
Oh, they're
headlining Louder than Life again.
they're just doing loud. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought they were doing like a like we're gonna make it up as like a big club date kind of thing.
No, that'd be nice. They announced it actually, I think, either while we were on the boat or as we were getting off the boat that Slayer was coming back, and
Yeah.
they haven't announced any more of the lineup, which I think it gets announced this week.
I'm probably gonna make it down to Rockville. There's too many amazing bands for on Rockville this year that I'm like, I gotta
Yeah,
do this. Especially bands I've worked with or worked for, that, they're playing these first shows and everything. And Acid Bath, of course. Anything Acid
yeah.
Bath related, I have to be a part of. I really hope they get them for the boat next year. I really, if they, that would,
You
I
think
mean,
there's a chance?
you know what? I was talking to somebody about it and they were like, they're still hemming and hawing on it. And I'm like, so I know we're diverting slightly on the boat situation, but I really do hope they bring in at least 3 to 4 more bands. Number one, they need another heavy hitter. Because like the first year was Lamb of God and Mastodon. This year is Lamb of God and Death Clock. And
Yeah,
I love Clutch more than just about anything, but they are not at that Mastodon or Death Clock level of attendance you know. Um, out here we have the Wiltern, which is like our kind of 1,000 seater, if you will.
yeah.
Whereas Mastodon and Deathclock play the Palladium, which is like your 5,000
Fourth.
seater.
I thought it was four.
Yeah, it's like 4,500, something along those
Okay,
lines between the two. Um, but that's the thing. It's like Clutch is not a Palladium band,
right.
So it's like we need, and I hope that this happens. But I mean, Killswitch would be awesome. They're recording their new record. It will be way done by then. Hopefully their tour routing will make this work. It's booked by the same company that books all the bands for the boat. So I'm hoping that would be the case, or Gojira, or
Oh,
somebody like that, but they need another heavy hitter in
heavy hitter.
between them and Clutch, And then I would love to see just kind of a couple of other smaller bands like Biohazard on there or something like that,
Yeah,
just some bands that are, that could really, just kind of add some oomph to it. But yeah, yeah, for the boat, I hope that like I said, I hope that Asabat does it, but I mean, they're playing Sick New World. I'm gonna be there. They're playing Rockville. Well, I don't know if it's been 100% announced yet, but that's the big prevailing theory
yeah.
right now is that they're playing that.
They.
Um,
I think they have been announced
is
on
it announced? Yeah,
Rockville. Yeah,
yeah. Then I'm definitely there for that. I mean, it's a
but and I think
bummer
for
that
the
my wife
boat,
can't come out, but what could you do? What's that?
what do we got? I think for the boat, there's like they announced 9 bands, and they're planning on, or they're working on getting 5 or 6 more to be
Yeah,
right around that 15
yeah.
mark.
So yeah, that's what they really need. Did you do 70,000 tons of metal? Have you ever been
Mm-mm.
on that one?
Now that was my first cruise this year.
Oh, really? Oh, congrats, dude. This is my fourth now. I did two 70,000 tons, and then last year and this year for Headbangers Boat. Um, 70,000 tons is just like the first year I went, it was fun, but it's just like they have so many bands that
Yeah,
it gets to the point. Like, so the last year I went was last year, actually, 2022. Um, right? No, 2023. I don't know. Whatever. I went like a year or two ago, and I wanted to see Warbringer is one of my favorite bands. I always wanted to see The Crown, so they played, and then my buddy's band, Abysmal Dawn, where I always love seeing. And so I'm like, okay, those are my three bands that I absolutely have to see. Warbringer went on at 2:15 in the morning one night and 4:15 a.m. another night. I'm like, why? You couldn't give him a fucking 5 p.m. slot at some point?
Right.
Abysmal Dawn, 3 o'clock in the morning. The Crown, 1:15 in the morning. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me right now? Like, this is ludicrous, you know? So it's like just the fact that they were doing that sort of thing. It was just like, it got to the point where I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, I by the end of that cruise, I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm done with with
Yeah.
70,000 tons. Because that's also just more it's a lot of black metal and a lot of like stuff that like Norwegians and the Europeans really love. And for me, a lot of the power metal stuff doesn't really fly so well with me. You know, I'm just kind of like, okay, if people dig it, then fucking right on. But I mean, just for me, it's just not really quite my thing. But I think to keep it at a modest 15 bands, that's fair, you know?
I, well, I think so too, because one of the issues I ran into this year was Death Clock and Frozen Soul playing at the same time. And I'm like,
Right.
I want to see both bands. So with them playing at the same time, I can go see one day and the other
Right.
the next.
Yeah. See, that's the thing for me, like Chimera, I was like, I don't care who's playing at the same time as Chimera. Like, I missed Mark Morton's solo band because I was like, nope, sorry, Chimera's playing. Like, nothing else matters to me, and they're not going to be playing during Lamb of God. I know that. So, as long as I get to see those guys play, and I was just there every day. Every time they played, I was right there, either on stage or right in the front of the stage, and just like, oh, I just need to soak this in.
They're at
You know.
Rockville.
Yeah, they're at Rockville. Dry Kill Logic are at Rockville. Old buds of mine. Have Acid Bath is playing. I mean, yeah, Kill Switch. I mean, there's so many bands that I've worked with or have had community, contact with or friends with. Snot, you know, are playing. So it's like for me, it's very
Maybe they're
much
going to
a
be on the boat.
that would be awesome too. I'd be down with that.
I never saw
I got.
Snot. I fucking love Snot.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? Okay, so real quick story, if you got time.
Yep.
So the Straight Up album,
Hmm.
the tribute record. So the final track of that record is called Sad Air, and it's just that real kind of mournful instrumental, and you just hear Lynn talking. You know, um, he's talking to me in that.
Oh shit.
That was my interview with Lynn, for my fanzine back in the '90s. And it was funny. I never got credited on it because they were like, "Oh, we didn't know where it came from," but whatever. Um, but I just remember being on Ozfest 2000 with Soulfly, and everybody was getting promo copies of it, and I'm listening to it in my bunk, and I'm like, "This, this what he's saying sounds so familiar. Like I know I've heard it or seen it or something." And so I asked my girlfriend at the time, like, "Hey, can you send me a copy of my zine was called Shock to the System? Can you send me a copy of Shock to the System #9? It's just like in the living room, blah blah." So she sent it to me, and I'm like reading. I'm like, "Holy shit, this is my interview. This is my interview with Lynn." So I've been tight with those guys for a long, long time. I fucking me and Mikey Doling and all those guys are, I love all of them to death. So, whenever they come out and do Snot again, I'm always like, dude, I will be at any SoCal shows. I will be at, actually, I just sent a friend of mine a picture, a video of me singing with them in Palm Springs when Tommy Vext was singing. Um, so yeah, it's like I love those guys. So if Snot got on the boat, dude, trust me, I would be there in a half a second. Not even
Fuck yeah.
not even a concern. And the only thing that would prevent me from seeing Snot on the boat is this after if Acid Bath was playing at the same time. Acid Bath trumps everything for me.
Hell
Literally.
yeah.
I'm like next year I turn 50. So next March I turn 50. So for me to there's two bands I never got to see growing up. One of which I will never see, which is Nirvana and Acid Bath. So the fact that they're announcing their reunion shows next year, Sick New World is the first one, which is literally, I think, 2 weeks after my 50th birthday. Like, to me, it's like the best gift I could ever imagine the universe giving me is the
Yeah.
opportunity to see. And I will guarantee this to anybody who sees this or is listening, I will be crying. I will 100% be crying when I see when I see them play. I know it. I know I absolutely will. I've never wanted to see a band so bad in my life that like when when this was announced, I was just like, I saw Goat Horror a couple months back, and Sammy started playing the intro riff to one of the songs, and I
Oh
swear I was
yeah.
just like, I could feel the tears
You're
welling
like,
up in my eyes. I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he was like, it was just like the first, like literally like the first like two chords, two or three chords of the song. And I was like, no way, no way. And he was, and then he just kind of stopped. He's like, yeah, yeah, we're gonna, that's something for something later. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? But like, even just hearing him strum those three chords, I friggin' felt like tears welling up
yeah.
already. I was like, oh my God, when they play an entire set, I'm gonna be a mess. I'm gonna be like sobbing like a baby. It's gonna be a
So
Beatlemania for me.
I'm gonna tell you, like Goat Horror and I Hate God, they kind of I love both of them just to fucking tremendous. So we
Hmm.
went to see my wife is a hippie, like earplugs, doesn't want to deal with it.
Yep.
But we were in Michigan for I think it was called Brews and Brews.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like Goat Horror, Battle Cross, Convalescence, bunch of bands.
Nice.
So we wait and fucking of course Goat Horror is headlining. And I'm like, all right, come on, taking the stage. And we go right up on the fucking barricade on TA side and we watch the fucking set and we leave. And she goes, oh my God, they were so fucking good. I'm like, hell yeah, they are.
You
So
gotta say
like
that.
I'm like, yes, now I got her fucking into Goat Horse. So
Yep.
she digs it when I turn it on. She
Yeah.
did the same thing for fucking I Hate God on the boat. Like
Oh, that's funny.
she was
I was just
like,
like,
who is
what
this? I
is?
go, yeah, I go,
Yeah.
it's I Hate God. She's like, man, they are fucking good. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, yes, they are, babe.
Yeah, that's the same thing with Bick, man, with my wife. When me and her first got together, she was not into metal at all. Grew up listening to 90s hip hop and R&B and all that kind of stuff, but she was just looking for something different, looking for something new. The first metal show I took her to was to see Down at the at the Grove in Orange in Anaheim, California. And I remember I took her there and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna use the restroom. She's like, all right. So she's just kind of standing there, kind of bopping around. She's just fun girl, and just very, just has this energy about her that like is undefinable but so weird. Like people come up to her and they're like, I need to know who you are. Like your energy is just flowing everywhere. I need to know who you are. Yeah, so she's got this kind of weird vibe, but like I come back and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy her a shirt. I'm gonna buy her a Down shirt as a surprise. So I go back and look at we were standing with a buddy of mine too, and I was like, "Where'd she go?" He's like, "Oh, she's up there somewhere." And I look, and she is just getting wrecked in the pit, like just in the pit, just throwing down. And I'm like, "What is she doing?" And then she comes, and then she's like up front, and she takes pictures of everything and everybody. She loves taking pictures. Her big thing is you never know when people are gonna go, so best to have
Right.
pictures with everybody. So I'm like, that's awesome, great philosophy. Um, but I was just like. I'm like looking at her, and then she's just in the pit, just like taking pictures, getting smashed up against the barricade. I'm like, what? And then she comes back. I'm like, what were you doing? Are you okay? And she's like, that was amazing. I was like, have you ever been in a pit before? She's like, no, that was awesome. Like for, I think probably about 3 or 4 years after that, every show she went to, she had to be in the pit. She
Hell
had to
yeah.
be, she had to be there. And then we saw Unearthed at the whiskey, and I'm like, okay, this is not your usual pit. This isn't your usual pushing and shoving kind of pit. This is gonna be weird. You gotta be careful. Blah blah blah. And like first song, and she comes up. She's like, "All right, what the fuck was that?" People were like jump kicking and swinging, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's hardcore dancing, dude. Like, sorry, like that's
Yeah.
kind of how it goes. That's kind of how it
Watch
goes."
watch
Yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah. So, but I mean, she still gets in the pit. She'll, go in the Slipknot pits and stuff like that. Not as much anymore, but like, yeah, when we first got together, she was just like, I just, she'd get a Jack and Coke or two in her, and she'd just be like, "Let's go." We have a buddy out here. His name is we call him Orange Beanie for obvious reasons. He always wears an orange beanie. But he goes by the name Evil and stuff like that. And he's known by all the I Hate God, Goat Horror, Pantera, down that whole crew. Like everybody knows him. Phil Anselmo sang happy birthday to him at the whiskey,
Hell yeah.
when Scour played, so like everybody knows him and everything, but like uh this dude is the immovable object. Like he is just a solid brick of a man. Like not a fat dude by any stretch, just a fucking like the dude is just a Roman fucking pillar, you know? And my wife weighs whatever, a buck 25, wet, soaking wet kind of thing. So it's like, but she gets like a Jack and Coke or two in her, and she always tries to like take him down, you know, and not like take him down, but like she'll like she'll like run and like hit him from behind, and like he looks at it like somebody just like flicked his ear. Like he'll be like, "The hell was that?" And like meanwhile, she is on the floor because she just literally bounced off of him like she just ran into a brick wall, you know. But he loves her to death though. But it's just so funny. He always just that look when she was like, "I'm gonna get him this time." And she just like hits him, and then she just falls
And
down. And he's
it's
just and
still a wall.
but the funny just him being like what was that? You know, it was just like I said, it was just like a little like fly like hitting him in the back of the head. Or he's like, that was weird, you know.
Yeah, I was
But
watching the fucking Frozen Soul. They had their pit going. There was a dude there. Literally, everyone was trying to fucking take him out, and they
take
were
him
just like
down.
bouncing off him.
It's
Like, holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah. That's kind of it. But that's the thing. It's like she got into the same thing. I got you just because she was just getting introduced to. I mean, because I make merch for so many different bands and so many different and like the Whiskey a Go Go and stuff like that. So we go and see bands constantly, you know. So she was just getting inundated with so much live music that she was like, "Oh my god!" Like, she saw Deicide, she was like, "That was incredible." I'm like, "Yes, I know. I've been seeing this for a
Yeah.
long time, you know." But like she's like in a weird way, she has like nobody like around her to tell like, "Oh my god, like wasn't that incredible?" Because she's like, "It wasn't that incredible." I'm like, "Yes, I know. I've seen them 800,000 times." You know, but like she gets so into now she's so into it, you know, and it's so
Hell
fun
yeah.
to see because like, we'll go somewhere and I'm like, "Oh, you're wearing your goat horse shirt. That's funny," you know. And she's like, "Yeah," I'm like, "All right, cool, like whatever, man," you know.
Yeah.
So it is cool though, like that, like your wife, saw. I mean, because again, I hate God as a fucking that's a jagged pill to swallow for a lot of
Oh
people. Like
yeah.
that's not that is ugly music for fucking ugly people, you know. Like that is, you know, that's music to make your mother cry kind of stuff, you know.
It really is. And like just to know that she was getting into it, I'm like, holy shit. And listen, she was raised fucking Catholic. So the first time I was like, hey, I'm gonna go see I Hate God. And she's like, what? What are you
Right,
talking
right.
about?
Why do you have to say that?
Right. Like
Why do you have to say it like that? Like,
she,
what? That's the name
she
of the band.
she's like, I feel so dirty, like even saying the name. I'm like, yeah, so what? Like we all feel dirty, but it's so
Yeah,
much
right,
fucking
right.
fun,
You're like,
right?
listen to the music. It's all dirty.
Yeah,
It's literally what a meth addiction sounds like.
right.
Like that's really what it is.
Yeah,
That's how I always describe crust metal is just like, no, this is what a meth addiction sounds like. This is
yeah,
what it sounds like when you're making meth in your bathtub.
yes.
Just because you no longer can afford actual meth and now your insides are screaming, what the hell is wrong with you?
That's
That's
fucking
that's
hilarious.
that's what I hate God is. That's what Buzzone is. They're just a meth addiction on CD,
So let me ask you this.
Shoot.
Obviously, Chimera for you was like
Oh yeah.
on the boat. Were there other sets that really stood out to you as just
Yes.
fucking phenomenal?
Yeah. So, you know what? I really got down with the Unity TX guys. Those guys are super cool. At first I was like, rap metal. You can kind of love it or hate it, but there was a depth and a thickness to their music that just like I was like, oh shit, all right. So yes, he's rapping and everything like that, but it was almost like just like the breakdowns and everything like that just made it not seem like rap metal, like
Yeah,
it was heavier than that. It was harder than that. It wasn't as like what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't as frivolous as like a lot of new metal and rap metal became, you know, just where, it became what I would consider like discount bin kind of stuff. You just started to get like, whatever Shovel and all these kinds of bands where you're just like, all right, who's next? Like just this revolving door. So there was something a little bit different to that. And also those guys were just super cool, just great to hang out with. I hung out with a bunch of those dudes. Frozen Soul blew me the fuck away. I was like, I mean, I got to meet Samantha early on when she was signing her pop. Um, but I hadn't listened to him. I hadn't had a chance to listen to him. And then I was like, all right, let me go and check him out. And I was just like, holy crap. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, when I saw him in the atrium, I was just like, I was like, hell yeah, dude, this is my type of thing. I got to see Napalm Death, which was also amazing. Um, just nicest bunch of dudes ever too. Like I was talking to Barney in catering and the lead singer, and he was just kind of like, "Oh, hello, mate. Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you." You know, and I'm like, "Weren't you just
Yeah.
up there saying Nazi punks fuck off?" Like, but it's just like like they'll be like, "Whoa." Okay, well, that was a good one. Thank you very much. Okay, let's do this next one. I'm like, how do you go from doing
Yeah.
this to doing that, you know? Um, Hang on one second. Sorry. I just got to do that. Send somebody a text letting them know I'm doing this. Um, um, let's see what else. There was
So which Napalm Death set
I
did you
caught the
see?
one. I forgot where it was at Magnus. Is that what they were calling it? Where it
Oh,
was.
where Frozen Soul played?
Yeah. They played there too. Um, Um, yeah, so that's where I saw them, and
Okay.
I was like, fuck, this is so good. It was just so crazy and good and just awesome. Who else? Currents, I only got to see a little of. I didn't get to see them that much. They were good. I Hate God is just, that's a staple for me.
Yeah.
Seeing those guys up there, seeing Jimmy Bauer fucking crushing it. I love that. I love that. And I just love like actually Mike Williams emailed me too, so I need to respond to him. So it's like for me, it's that was one of the big things about the Pops too, was that it really got me in front of everybody that kind of like I really respect, so it's
Yeah.
like it's one thing to be a fan and on the boat or whatever, but it's like the fact that like I was able to get like a talent, badge so I could do stuff. It was just like it really put me in the sights of everybody, and it was like that was definitely a cool part for me because it's like when I know a band personally too, it's like it's cool to see them on stage. Like it's like seeing your
Oh yeah.
friend's band on stage, and I feel like that helps me get into whatever band it is even more. I know this is kind of a weird departure, but like when I worked at Roadrunner, you know Nickelback wasn't anything that sounded like anything on Roadrunner, obviously,
Right.
and it was easy for people to dismiss it and all that, but like the more I worked with them and the more I hung out with them, and it's like, oh, these guys are great dudes, and you see them on stage, and they're like, they put on a fucking amazing show, And it's like when people are like, "Oh, well, you like Nickelback?" I'm like, "Yo, dude, like, sorry, they don't fucking deserve the hate they get at all,
Right.
Like these guys are fucking, they're up there doing their thing, and fucking, they're not drug addicts or banging random chicks or getting into all these problems. Like, they're just a straight ahead rock band. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, So even if it's a band that I don't particularly care for, but if I know them in there." Like to me, it's kind of cool to see like people up there because you're just like that's why like with my wife when we were hanging out with Billy from Biohazard. To me, I've been seeing Biohazard since I was 15.
Wow.
So it's like for me to hang out with Billy is like there's a 15-year-old part of me that's like holy shit, holy shit, we're hanging out with Bill, holy
Yeah.
shit, he's buying me a drink, holy shit, Whereas to her, she's like, oh no, this is just a nice guy that we know, and I'm like, it's like you almost want to be like, show a little bit more respect, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
she can't see it from my point of view. But now, when I went to Metal Fest, Milwaukee Metal Fest, and then Aftershock, they played also, and I see Billy on stage. I'm just kind of like, fuck, I can't believe I know that guy now. Like now, it's almost like an even bigger sense of pride for me to be a Biohazard fan now. Is just to
Yeah.
see Billy up there and be like, that's my dude, man. I fucking love that guy. We always have great conversations. We always talking about cool shit, and I'm always, whatever I can do to help Biohazard, of course I'm gonna do. But like that's something that really helps me um just really puts me more into the music because now I have a sense of pride that like somebody I know is doing this and making this work and and it's affecting all of these people, and whatnot. It's like that to me is like when I can really feel it. And I felt like that with everybody who came and signed their pops, you know, it wasn't like instantly like suddenly I'm gonna fucking watch I'm not gonna babysit the lead singer of Unity TX's hamster or anything like that anytime soon, but
Right.
like but at the same time it's like you suddenly see like, all right, cool, like I can relate to their struggle, to what they're doing, and I'm seeing people enjoy their music, and that's now filling me with this metal community pride
Yeah.
that I feel, and it was the same thing with any of those bands that I'd never seen before. Like who else played? COC I've known for forever. We actually did a COC. We did a pepper pop, if you will, for one of the fans who was there previously. She's a huge COC fan. This girl Janet, Janet Rossi. She's just I mean, like the ultimate COC fan. She's like the fanatic. Who else played? I'm trying to think now who played. I'm like, who
Fuck.
played
A
who
lot
played
of
the
people
show?
like
Yeah, I know, right? That's
Exodus.
why I'm like Exodus. Exodus. Well, Exodus I've seen a million times too, and making a bunch of their merch now is also a cool thing. But Gary's in Slayer, so it's like to
Yeah.
me, to have him really love his pop and everything like that, I'm like, "Fuck, that's awesome!" Like the dude from Slayer loves what we did. Like this is so cool, you know. Exodus. Let's see who else. Um, yeah. See, now I'm like blanking on everybody who
I
played
know.
this.
Carcass.
Carcass was one of the bands I didn't get to see. I didn't get to see them at
Oh,
all. Um, I didn't get to see them at all. I missed every one of their sets for whatever reason. I really wish I knew. Um, yeah, anytime they played, I think they were like either Camiro was playing at the time or somebody else was playing. Um, but yeah, I missed them entirely. I missed them
yeah.
entirely.
I did not. I made sure, like every band I wanted to see, I made sure to see. Um, I caught Unity TX at Louder Than Life this year, and
Mm.
they crushed.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Also, I have to admit, when it came to Carcass, I was a little put off because like they never contacted me back about the pops. So
Uh,
it was kind of like one of those things where I was like, come on, like you guys, it was for charity. Same thing with After the Burial. Even though they didn't show up, I was like, it's for charity, guys. Like, come on. Like, well,
yeah,
like, I mean, I don't know how else to sell this. Like, it's no money out of your pocket. Everything's going to charity. Like, why would you? And they said no to me twice. And I was like, okay, I'm not begging you to be on this, Soulfly I mean, I toured with Soulfly, so I've seen them a zillion trillion times.
yeah,
Um, who else? At the Gates didn't end up playing. Frozen Soul, I hate God. Unearth, I've been seeing since friggin' 2000. Same thing. Just watching those guys. I mean, I remember when they were playing, the small stage at New England Metal Fest. And
yeah.
just to see the crowd and the fans and everybody just go off. It's always like the best thing. Poison the Well was another one. I hadn't seen them in years, and just that was the thing too. When it came to bands like Poison the Well, Chimera, some of these bands that are kind of just doing some of these one-off shows, like I I find that their ferocity feels so fresh now
Yeah,
because it's not just them like, all right, get in the van. Next show's Cleveland. Okay, now we're in Cleveland. Let's play a show. Okay, next show's Louisville. Okay, let's go to Louisville. There's not that sort of drudgery that you can kind of get on tour. So for them to come out and just play these shows, just these one-off shows here and there, it's almost like it's almost like having fresh muscles when you need to when you're moving your house or whatever. It's like when when you're exhausted, everybody's exhausted, and suddenly you get like three friends who are like, nope, we're here to help, and you're like, oh, thank God. It's like, and suddenly it's like there's this new revitalization of like, yeah, let's get this thing done. That's what I love about seeing like Chimera and Poison the Well bleeding through again. Also just seeing these bands that, like, if they're not doing these crazy long tours, it's almost like, yeah, now they don't have the pressure of
there's not like the road wear. They're
that's what I
fresh.
yeah, that's exactly it. There's not that's what I was talking about, the drudgery of being on the
Yeah,
road, of just like, because I remember when I was out with Ozfest in 2000 with Soulfly, this is before you had internet on buses and shit like that, and it's like we would have to travel from like whatever Pocatello, Idaho to Seattle, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a 24-hour drive, and you're like, okay, so even if I smoked the most amount of weed I possibly could, like I could sleep for like 13 hours. But then when you're like, no, we still have another 11 hours to go, like you're just like, oh my God, like where do I go? I'm in this little
Yeah.
tube. You have the front lounge, you have the back lounge, and everything in the middle is just the bunks. And so there's no place to go. There's nothing, And then when you do that day after day, or every other day or whatever it is, it's like you just kind of get to a point. Like I got to that point where I was just like, oh man, like now everybody looks the same. Everybody's wearing the same t-shirts. Everyone has the same haircut. Everyone. And again, it's like that's why it's like when I was working with bands and I see them under that tour fatigue, or just the little bullshit arguments that incrementally build up, or
Yeah.
like if I have to smell that guy's farts one more goddamn time, like just the little things that start to really bring us, just deteriorate the band morale and stuff like that really sucks. So it's like so to see these bands coming out there and just fucking laying waste to everything, I'm like, oh, it's like it's such a cool, refreshing feeling. But at the same time, like as much as I love seeing Chimera and I hope to get to see them at Rockville and everything like that, like I'm glad they're not gonna tour. Like
Yeah.
same thing with Slayer. It's like because then they'll just go back to remembering what was miserable about it. So to have these kind of smaller shows, these one-off shows, is just I think maybe it's just me and my age, but it's just it's so refreshing because like Chimera, like I thought they were like one of the standouts of the boat,
Yeah.
and I mean, yeah, I know I'm biased to a lot of degrees, but at the same time, I looked at the crowd. I looked at the crowd participation. I looked at the fucking pit. I looked at everybody that was there. I felt it myself. I was looking at the band members. Everyone's singing their songs. You know, they're all running around. They're smiling. They're joking around with each other. I'm like, that's what I want to feel. I want to feel that kind of thing. They're walking around the boat, hanging out with people. That's what I want to feel. Not the oh, I really don't want to hang out with anybody. I just want to sit in the bus and not do anything. Like that's, when you see a band kind of get to that point, you're just like, oh man, like that's
Yeah.
that's a shitty feeling. But that's why, like, but then when I see a band like Unity TX, where they're the new band, sort of on the, new kids on the block, if you will, you know, but they're like, no, we have to get in this van and fucking go. So it's like on the one hand, I love seeing the dedication that goes into a metal band, hopping into a van and being like, let's go to the next show.
But
Let's
two
go to the
different
next
sides
show.
of the spectrum, right?
Exactly it. So it's like, so it's nice on both ends because you don't have to see the death of your favorite band just because they're so miserable and everybody hates life because everything is just this tour fatigue. So on the one hand, you get to see your favorite band sort of fresh again, but then you get to see new bands, which is also fresh.
Yeah.
And that's the best part. But then you get somebody like Lamb of God who's just like, yeah, and we're gonna lay waste to all of you fuckers.
Yeah.
And then Lamb of God comes on and you're just like, and then nobody can fucking compete with this.
Right.
Like nobody, because to me, Lamb of God will always slay over just about anybody, you
They
know?
they are consistently one of the best shows. You know what you're getting with them every fucking time. It's a great show. It doesn't matter who they're on a bill with,
Right.
like
You'll always get the
just
best show.
yeah.
I always feel like they play like somebody threatened them before the show. like if you don't play the hardest you can possibly play, we're gonna kill everyone in the crowd. And so they just come out there and just fucking just own the place,
Yeah.
you know. And that's what I absolutely fucking love about that band. And on top of it, I mean, they're great to their fans. They're super awesome dudes, but that's really I mean, that's why I love that this is the Lamb of God Headbangers Boat. Like this is it's such a great way to bring on these new bands, bring on old bands, heritage bands, I mean, dude, Napalm Death started in like 1982,
Right.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like these bands that have, that have that Lamb of God were basically raised on or that they toured with or any of those kinds of things. So it's like on the one hand you get to see them take out these new bands like Unity TX and Current, but then on the flip side it's like no, then we're gonna hang out with our homies in Unearth and in COC and in Exodus and in Soulfly, like that's what I love about being on that Headbangers Boat. It's just that feeling of like we're all there in this almost religious congregation of
It's
sorts.
fucking church, dude.
It
It is
is. It is.
absolutely church.
It is our church. There is no doubt about it. And I think that that's the best part about it is that my favorite thing is because I remember when I went on 70,000 tons, it was kind of like, you have, you know, a lot of black metal, a lot of death metal, a lot of this, a lot of that, but like you won't really see somebody wearing like a Corn t-shirt on like
Right.
70,000 tons. Whereas here it was kind of like everybody's accepted. Like you could be wearing a Trickster shirt and you're like, people are like, come on, man, let me buy you a drink. Like
Yeah.
there's there's that feeling of just
Brotherhood. There's
the
no
brother.
fucking
Yeah,
gatekeeping.
yeah, that's exactly it. There's no gatekeeping. There's no, there's, I mean, I don't want to say there's no ego because there's always gonna be ego, but there's no, just amongst us, you know,
Right.
there's no, there's none of that. Like, who'd you vote for? Oh, you're a Trumper. Like, it's like there was just none of that feeling of that sort of thing. It's like metal goes above all party lines, goes above all of the stuff. Like, I remember when in 2018 I made these Pantera mini guitars that are really cool, and I don't have do I have one around here? I can show you a new one that we made. Super sick. Um, but it's like these mini guitars, and this one we actually did for Fear Factory just recently. So this is our demanufacture mini
Oh, that's
guitar.
fucking cool.
Yeah, it's got nylon strings, metal tuning pegs, the full like the artwork right here. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous guitar. And so we did one for Pantera where we did all the album covers on the body, and then we used Dimebag's guitar, body shape.
Yeah.
And my thing was, back in the day, like number one, it's easy to be like, oh, Pantera guitar, Dimebag. Okay, great. You know, but to me, Pantera is Dimebag and Vinny and Phil and Rex,
Rex.
like
Yeah.
it's all of these guys, not just Dimebag. So what I wanted to do is go, okay, cool, we're gonna put the cover of Vulgar Display Power on there and Trendkill and all, I think the only ones we didn't do Reinventing the Steel, and we didn't do Cowboys from Hell because they wanted to do management wanted to do something big around those things and blah blah, all that kind of stuff. So we did Vulgar, Far Beyond Driven, Great Southern Trendkill, and then we did two limited edition ones, which was Far Beyond Bootleg, the vinyl, and the Live in Donington. And so, but my thing was, you know, we could easily make this a Dimebag Daryl centric thing. But to me, when it came to Vulgar, like I wanted people to look at these guitars and be like, I know where I was when I heard This Love.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
I lost my virginity to This Love. Or I remember, like, for me personally, I remember me and my buddy Craig walking 5 miles from college. This is what, 94? 5 miles from college to the record store. And we bought Far Beyond Driven. And we realized we didn't bring our Walkmans with us. So we just walked the entire way back, like with the cassettes and with the CDs in our hand. We're like, but just like reading the liner notes and reading the lyrics and stuff like that just as we were walking back on this trek of ours, you know. So it's like that album holds a very special memory and place for me. But back then nobody was like, oh, would you vote for Walter Mondale? Like nobody cared
Right.
about that. It's like we were all in the pit together. Black, white, Latino, Indian, what, it didn't fucking matter. All we knew was we were there to see Pantera. And if somebody fell in the pit, you fucking picked them up. It didn't matter what color they were, what nationality, what fucking religion. It didn't fucking matter. We were all there for the same fucking reason.
Yep.
And that's always been my thing when it comes to going to these shows is just that feeling of, you know, don't gatekeep, you know, don't gatekeep, don't, like that's why like even bands like Baby Metal, I don't particularly care for Baby Metal. Just can't do it. Just doesn't hit
Not
the
my
right
thing either.
just doesn't hit the right spot. But
Right.
the fact if it did for you, I wouldn't be like, "Psh, you're stupid." Like
Right.
no, like music hits everybody in a completely different visceral way. That's why my favorite band of all time is Kiss. And I know that if I play Kiss for somebody now, they're gonna probably be like, okay, like, all right, what's the big deal? But like, for me, it's a big deal, But if a kid likes Taylor Swift or they like Justin Bieber or they like any, like, I'm like, hey, cool. That just means that the
Like
music,
what you fucking like.
right? That means that the music affects you on such a visceral level that, you know, that it gives you an emotional feeling. That's what matters is
Yeah.
that feeling. You know, otherwise, that's why it's always funny when people talk about A&R guys because they're like, "Oh man, that guy really knows how to pick out good bands." And I mean, yes, you do have to have an ear for it to certain some degree, but I'm like, it's all still subjective. You know,
Yeah,
I could hear a band and be like, "Tom, you've got to listen to this band. They're gonna be the next biggest thing." And you listen to it and you're like, "Okay, like, but it doesn't mean the band's good or bad. It's just that certain bands hit us on a certain level and certain bands don't." You
that's
know,
exactly it.
and that's why this show, the boat and everything like that, just everybody, again, it would have been so easy for people to be like, oh, Unity TX, what they're rapping, like, pff, great, but people went there and they're like, no, like, we want to see what's going on.
They got
We want
into
to see
it.
what's going
Yeah,
on. And when they were there and they're playing and they're fucking rocking out and doing their thing, and the crowd is like, okay, they're not just doing that just to make you happy. They're
right.
not just be like, well, we better do this just to make the band feel good. Like, no, like people are fucking into it. They're digging it, and that's the important thing to me. And that's why again, even if there's a band that's on here that I was just kind of like, Carcass isn't one of my favorite bands by any means. I miss them for whatever reason, but I wasn't like, "Oh, I hate that band. I cannot go and see, it was just kind of like, I just couldn't
Yeah.
see them. But if you got to see them, fucking awesome, stoked. Actually, sorry, I passed by them when they were playing the Magnus stage or Magnum stage, whatever it was. But I was on my way somewhere else. I was on my way somewhere. But again, it's like that's what I love about this boat in particular is that to me nobody feels ostracized. Nobody
Right.
feels, you know, nobody
Well,
nobody,
they
you
didn't.
know.
Like I was reading about, in one of the, I don't know, boat groups for next year, and I think a young lady posted and like, hey, um I'm going solo, but I can't afford it unless I can share a room.
Hmm.
And the next post down, or the next post right after it, was this guy going, at first I was like, oh my God, it's a single girl saying, she's looking to share a room. Like,
Right,
I need to watch out for her. And then I remembered, like, oh no, like, I don't have to worry about that because there's not a douchebag on this fucking boat. I'm like,
right.
that's cool as shit.
That's exactly it. It's like, and that's I saw something similar too, where somebody posted on one of the boards where they were like saying the same thing, like I need a roommate, and people were like, dude, you can room with me, you can room with me. It's just everybody's so. I love that everybody's accepting, and
Yeah.
I love that everybody's just down for it all, and just excuse me, and um, even just watching people buy merch, you know. Watching people buy merch or what I love, I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm a huge Chimera fan, but to hear people be like, holy shit, I never listened to Chimera before. That was fucking incredible. Like to hear stuff like that was like, the best feeling. Same thing with me seeing Napalm Death. Like, my buddy Dirk, Napalm Death is his favorite band, like favorite band. You know, we actually we put Napalm Dirk as like his name on like when we go bowling and stuff like that. Just like he loves Napalm Death. And when I showed him the Shane pop that we did, he's like, dude, I gotta get me one. But he was like, you gotta go and see them. You've got to go and see them. And then it's like I went and saw it. And I was just like, oh my god, like this is
Yeah.
fucking crazy. This is amazing. Just that. You know. The feeling, like I said, just that feeling of acceptance of, of going to be able to see a new thing and just walking away and being like that was fucking awesome, and again, like I don't feel like anybody's really blowing smoke up anybody's asses on the boat. you know Everybody
No.
had a great time, especially this year. Last year was weird because we got married last year, which was the greatest thing in the world. Randy married us. It was super awesome, and then somebody jumped
Yeah.
overboard. So that was last year was definitely a very bittersweet kind of situation. By the end, by the time we all disembarked, we were like, okay, later. Like
Yeah.
it really did cast a really weird vibe on the whole thing. Um, which was just, I mean, it was really, really sad. I mean, it was such a bummer. And the worst part was, I mean, like not the worst part, but like just hearing all the rumors and da 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 and all these kinds of things. It just definitely, marred what really could have been a fucking incredible maiden voyage of this boat, me and my wife getting married on Halloween, like literally 11 years to the day that we met for the first time. And the
Wow.
reason that we met is because I couldn't get into the Lamb of God show that night in LA. So it was this great, like, full circle situation where I got Randy to marry us, and he was dressed like a fat Elvis. It was just like this whole ridiculous thing that somehow I made work out. But then to fucking figures. Sorry. My brother's calling me. I've been trying to get him on the phone for the last like 3 days. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, so it's like, but that's kind of it. It was just this. It was all of these things that were so great. Everything worked out. I mean, the wedding was great. I mean, I had so many people I didn't know were going to be on the boat. So many friends I didn't know were going to be on the boat that ended up being there that were at my wedding. So it was just a really wonderful, wonderful experience. Randy was super gracious with everything, and everything was like just so great. But yeah, when that happened, just that third day in,
Yeah.
it was the night before the last full day you know so it was just like one of those things where it's just like it was how do you deal with that, how do you wrap your head around that? And so it was that was definitely something that was tough. But I mean, when they were like, hey, we're gonna have to write love on our arms as one of the sponsors, the charity, I was like, all right, cool, like that's good, because I think that is something that people need.
Yeah.
And even for me, I mean, this year has been really, really difficult for me on a number of levels. But to be on the boat and unfortunately to not have my wife there for our first wedding anniversary, speak of the devil, um, she's just walking in now. To not have her there, to be dealing with just all the bullshit that I was dealing with the pop situation, hoping that the auction went well, you know, um, it was really to go to that. I'm waving at you.
Hello.
Hey. We're doing the podcast, right? Yeah. That's her. That's her.
Hello, her. Hello,
Hello.
wife.
Hello,
Hey,
big.
are
Hello,
you
big
going to be on the
girls.
boat next year?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. For sure.
Yes.
I wish I was on this year, but
Me too.
you know.
But that's what I was saying though, is that like not having her there, dealing with the anxiety about the charity auction going off well or not going off well, like all of that stuff was really hitting me, and especially, I don't want to tag on to somebody, just glom onto somebody and be like, "Can I hang out with you?" And then just like end up hanging out with them, and then they're like, "I want to go in my room now," and you're like, "Oh, all right," So, um, so basically, it's like, but all of that,
hello, kitty.
my fat little boy right there. But basically, dealing with all of these things to go to the lounge that they had, to write Love on Our Arms Lounge, which was right next to the
Yeah.
arcade. Dude, I went there and it was like I just sat on the couch and just hung out and like talked to the people there. And I wasn't like, I feel horrible about this. It was just kind of just talking, and it was just there was something very freeing about it, something very um
So you go in there and there's no preconceived it's supposed to be this or that,
yeah,
and everything just kind of goes away because you can
it
just be.
It really was. That's exactly it. And I mean, like, even the dude who works for them, Chad, who's super cool. I met him at Aftershock, and he was just chilling out the little sofa. They had a couple of sofas in there, and we were both just kind of laying on different sofas. And he was like, "So, tell me what's going on." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just kind of bummed that my wife's not here, and it's our anniversary, our first anniversary, and I'm worried about the thing." And he's like, "Well, and he just had a couple of little words, like nothing overly therapy related or anything like that. But there was just something about it where I was just like, when I left there, I was like, I feel like I'm 10 pounds lighter right now, So in spite of the fact that what happened to that guy in the first year happened, to have them there this year, um, I don't know how many people went there. May hopefully, I mean, not to say
We
hopefully a
went.
lot, but like you did go.
Yeah.
But like, I just I was really amazed at just kind of the sort of how much the weight lifted off of me after I left there. Like I really did feel so much better just about things. I felt like, no, I think the charity auction's gonna be okay, and no, yeah, she's not with me this year, but we'll figure out how to get her on next year for sure. Like there's suddenly just this kind of like positive sort of, I don't know, sort of release that I felt when I left, and that's why like afterwards I was like, man, like and I told Chad this later. I was like, dude, like, thank you for that. And he's like, I didn't do anything. I'm like, did you? Didn't you? Like in a weird way, it was almost like you were just there. You were there and you just kind of let me sort of talk without feeling like I was bitching and moaning, sitting at the bar. Hey, dude, how you doing? Oh, I'm bummed that my wife's not here. And I don't know what's gonna happen. It's like you don't
Right.
want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy telling everybody what your problems is while everyone's just like, I'm gonna go back to the casino, dude, because like fuck off. You don't want to be that guy, you know. And I didn't want to be that guy, but to go there and just kind of just say it and then to have just kind of some reassuring words behind it, like, I mean, I wouldn't say I was suicidal by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely
No,
felt
but
like I
it
was like,
helped
man,
ease some of those anxieties, right?
exactly it. It really did.
Like
It helped ease things and just kind of make me be like, I ate some fucking ice cream. Like I'm going up to
yeah,
the fucking thing. I'm gonna go to the
yeah,
cafe and get me some fucking ice cream. Like it was that kind of thing where you just kind of, you just really, you know, I just didn't know what to expect, and I think that was kind of nice. And then they had their little like Japanese like
the sand
the
stuff.
sand garden, kind of this, raking the sand and everything. Just all these little like just little peaceful things without it being preachy, without it being too hippy dippy, without it being, hey, let's all do yoga, man, and fucking drink some, fucking
Some,
matcha tea and blah blah,
ugh,
like it just it wasn't, it didn't have that whole thing. So I
right.
do hope that they're going to be there next year. I think just a
So do I.
really cool resource for people, and I do hope that people did take advantage of it, because I know that I did, and after doing so I was like, I'm really happy they're here, because again, if they were there that first year, I mean, would the guy had done what he did, maybe not, but
I, well, like here's my argument, right?
yeah.
We deal a lot with mental health. Like my little brother killed himself five
Oh,
years ago, 5.5 years ago. Actually, the same day as Kurt Cobain,
wow. Oh
right?
man.
Just what, 20 years later, 25 years later. Um, so so obviously dug into it. Like it once someone makes that decision, it doesn't matter,
Right.
right? Doesn't like that dude may have made that decision weeks before and said, you know what? I'm gonna go out like on top of the world. So you're right, we don't really know, but the
Right.
reality is he made that decision and there was
Right.
nothing was gonna
Exactly.
sway him.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I absolutely agree with that too. It's like, yeah, when the decision's made, but it's like I also think that, when you have alcohol and, drugs and all of these kinds of things that are relatively plentiful on a boat like this, it doesn't help. It exacerbates those kinds of situations, and he
Yeah,
had drama with his girl and all these kinds of things. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was already pretty much there, but again, it's like, who knows, maybe having that resource there, again, maybe might not have swayed him, but having it there might have, it could have made a difference, and I mean, that is a lot of like, hindsight 2020 and all that, but I mean, that's why I think having them there is just such a, it
it's a benefit.
yeah, it brings a more positive light to everything that we're dealing with,
Yeah,
because whether you knew the guy or not last year, everyone was affected by it. you
100%.
know everyone was affected by it, everyone felt it, we all knew that it was the loss of a metal brother. We all knew, like, hey, he was here to see metal bands, like that's what made him one of us. And so if one of us gets taken out like that, during this celebration, then it trickles down into every facet of what we're trying to do and who we are and how we're trying to celebrate. That's why when people, a lot of bands that next day were like, should we play? Like is that disrespectful? Should we, because it's almost like if we play, then it's almost like no, like nothing really happened. We're just gonna play like we normally would, So a lot of bands are kind of like we feel weird playing, So schedules got switched around and everything like that. But at the same time, it was just kind of like, yeah, like what do you do? Do you
What do you do? Yeah.
do you just treat it like, yeah, womp womp, like no, that's not, no, you can't do that. But or do you sit there and let it be a black cloud over everyone's head? So I don't remember if it was Ricky Rackman or somebody who said like he came here to see metal. Something tells me that he would probably still want the metal to keep going. And a lot of bands were like, all right, cool, all right, yeah, let's play. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what it became then. It's like not lamenting over it, but trying to be like, hey, this guy had an issue, and again, it's like what they always say, we wouldn't be asking where's Waldo if we were asking how's Waldo.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like that, it's that kind of thing, where you know now in hindsight, it's like to be able to know that this resource is there, you know it's unfortunate that it had to be this that did that, but you know,
Yeah.
hopefully it will help prevent that in the future to some degree.
I, I, I think that it's a great addition to the boat. Obviously I wasn't there first year. Second year was fantastic. My wife was like, we are definitely going there. All right, cool. Um, like I said, we're just real big like mental health, like, people. So to have that and to know they're there is like, all right. So I made sure to buy myself a little patch for my battle vest. Like,
Yeah.
we'll do it. Next year I'm sure will be great.
Yeah.
Uh, none of that. But
But but it was good. It was good. It was a great boat, like I said, I mean, I'm still amazed at the fact that they let me do it. Like it still boggles my mind that they said yes, because it's like when it comes to promoting or even introducing ideas like this, it's you get 98% no's, and then every once in a while somebody will be like, okay, and you're like, well, thanks. Wait, what'd you say? Did you just say okay? Holy crap.
yeah,
Like, every once in a while when that does happen, it really, it does change things. It very much changed the trajectory of a lot of what I'm doing. It changed, it altered it, or at least like right now I have, who is it? Is it Unearth's management? It might be Unearth. I can't remember. But they're like, oh, we want you to do pops of Better Lovers. Greg,
yes,
yeah, Greg Puciato's band. So I'm like, because it was funny. They're like, yeah, Better Lover, and I know I've heard of the band, but I don't know anything about them. They're like, yeah, we want to do Greg, the lead singer. So I'm like, oh, let me look him up. I'm like, Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan, Greg. I'm like,
yeah,
holy crap, dude! Like, yes, let's do this. But now they want us to do like the whole band, which is fine. But they want to do it as like a charity auction also. Um, hang on one second. Yeah, Psycho. Anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of the thing. Hold on one second. Bix, you're fucking killing me here. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of it. It's like like it's already become starting to expand outwards, and I
yeah.
think bands know now what they can do, you know.
It's
Now bands know what they can do. Now they, again, just like what I was saying before about expanding your horizons. It's like, most bands when it comes to doing pops, they're like, well, we don't have, we're not big enough to be a Funko thing. Yeah. No, I Hate God is not going to get an official Funko Pop anytime soon.
right.
Ever. Or when you look at somebody like Disturbed, even when you look at, they did the demon guy, I don't know, whatever his name is, the guy.
Hmm.
Um, you know, um they did, but they didn't do David Draymond, and they didn't do Mike Wengren, like they didn't do any of those guys, they just did the mascot. So it's like, okay, will those guys ever get their pops? Maybe, possibly not, probably not, So now this is an opportunity to be able to go, okay, but we can still do it so that your fans still have something, you
Yeah,
know. But that's the thing. It's like it showed these bands like, holy shit, we can actually do, like, we can be that. Yes. Yes, you
yep,
can. But I
100%.
don't think without being on this boat that would have come across. I mean, I mentioned it to a shit ton
Not
of
the same
people
for
last
sure.
year. Yeah, I told a shit ton of people about it last year, and it was kind of in one ear and out the other. But I think for them to see it, to hold it, to feel it, and to know that this is actually a reality that can happen, and that it's something that their fans can really get and enjoy, and that they can make money off of without having to order 50,000 of them from Funko. Like that's the best part is
Hell
just
yeah.
seeing that happen. And without the boat this year, that wouldn't have happened. So I'm
Yet.
super thankful for Six Man, for Lamb of God, for everybody for just being behind it, and for it being successful and everything. There's no better feeling than that, than to see an idea that you're like, this could fuck up in so many different ways, but the fact that it worked out and everything, like, I'll tell you something. So, how when we're embarking and they have you put your luggage on the thing and, the porters kind of thing, and they
Yeah.
were like, and so I had my suitcase and I had this box of Funkos, the box of the Pops rather, and it's a pretty decent sized box, right? That I brought with me, and the porter was like, no, 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 just do this, just do, and I'm like, yeah, but I need to really keep these with me, and so I'm texting with the Six Man, the girl from Six Man, one of the girls, and she's like, or no, I called her and I'm like, hey, like, what am I doing with my box? Am I bringing it with me or am I checking it? She goes, yeah, 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 just check it, it's fine. But like, she sounded super distracted. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm checking it. And they were like, when I get there, they're like, so where are the Pops? And I'm like, you guys told me to check it. And they're like, oh my God, it's not going to get to your room till like 8 p.m. I'm like, no. I'm like, oh my God. So then it became this like mad dash to find them in the hold. And, while I'm in the talent lounge and everybody's checking in, I'm like, oh my God, everybody could be signing their stuff right now. And I could just be enjoying this beginning part of the cruise and da 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 and all these kinds of things, you know? And so it's like finally they ended up finding it like an hour later and bringing it and everything. So it was like just all of these things that could have gone wrong that just in the end it all just sort of worked out. So yeah, this year was super, like, seriously, the last 2 years have been super memorable for me, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And I again, I really hope they want to do this again, either for one of their other cruises or for the Headbangers Boat next year, you know. Uh,
It
if
kind of
that's
sounds like like this went over well. They might translate that into, many of their other boats.
That's kind of it. I mean, they have an EDC boat. They have well, WWE already has their own pops, but like, I mean, they just have all of these other, boats with different, comedians and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, they've got like 20 different cruises or something
30.
ridiculous.
They have
Holy
30,
shit.
34 cruises a year. 34.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I was like, they were like, yeah, we're heading off to EDC next. And I'm like, I don't think I have time to do that one. Like, no, no, I
Right.
don't. They're like, I don't blame you. It leaves literally in 3 days. I'm like, okay, good. Because I was like, holy shit, dude, I don't know if I can do this. My team is
That's
gonna
wild.
murder me.
Yeah.
But that was definitely the cool thing is that, if again, I don't want to assume anything either. I don't want to assume that they'll say yes. Um, but I hope they do. And from what everybody said, they all loved it. They all thought it was great. Um, so and again, it's like the idea is to make it bigger and better and
Yep.
and cooler. Because that was the thing too. It's like I was trying to get guitar picks from different bands so we could throw like just a little something extra in them, but again, that idea didn't come to me until much later. So then it became like me trying to track down bands and be like, "Do you have any guitar picks? All right, cool, let's do it." But now it's like, okay, cool, I can make sure that that's something that's done right in the very beginning.
Yeah,
You
now
know,
you've got to make the guitar picks for them.
yeah, fuck, that'd be nice. No, but that's the cool thing is that this way it's because like Chimera and a bunch of other bands made their own Headbangers Boat
Yeah.
2024 guitar picks that they played with. So that was kind of the cool thing was to be able to put stuff like that in there, But at the same time, I'm like, hey, fucking put an old all access laminate in there and sign it. Put an old sticky pass in there and sign it. Draw a doodle and fucking that kind of thing. So and same thing. It's like I had them sign the back of the box because I didn't want them to sign the front and potentially obscure the pop inside. I didn't want it to block the actual pop. But then later on, I was like, fuck, I should have had them sign. Just been like, hey, can you sign it small on the front? And I think that would have been a little bit better. But like, I figured, okay, cool. If they sign it on the back, then they can actually write a message to the fans. You know, they can write a message to the fans. They can write a little something stupid, put a little doodle on there, and then sign it. You know, and that way it doesn't obstruct the front window of the
Yeah.
package. But then when I saw Randy sign it, and then I was like, shit. I was like, man, I was like, I can't go back to everybody and be like, hey, can you sign it again? You know? So it's just kind of
No.
like, yeah. So yeah, that was kind of it. I was like, fuck. Like, all right. So next year, I'm like, I'll have them sign it on the back and then also sign it on the front because I think that was the thing too, is that people saw it, and when they didn't see it signed on the front, they might have been like, oh, all right, you know, but like Max's was signed and Randy's were signed. And those ended up being like two of the, I mean, the Randy one obviously is going to be the highest anyway, but like the
Yeah.
Max one was like, I think the next highest, you know? So it's kind of like, it was, you know, like I said, like a lot of that sort of stuff where I was just like, keep that filed away for next year and let's
Oh
figure this
yeah.
out, you know, but not for nothing, dude. If I can do a Dax Riggs fucking Funko Pop or custom pop, that would be,
I'm
that
waiting for you just to make one for yourself and put it up on the.
Oh, I have a couple. I already have a few of me.
Oh,
It's-
hell yeah.
yeah. I mean that's the thing. I would never. I mean that's why I was happy that in a weird way that Carcass and After the Burial didn't do theirs because then I was like, oh, like I didn't even think of the fact that we should do Jose and Ricky Rackman. Like that,
Right.
those two were very literally the last two that we made, and we've known Jose for years anyway, so he's a friend. So I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do it for him. And then Six Man was like, can you do one for Ricky? And I was like, why the fuck didn't I think of that? Like, why
Right.
didn't I think of doing one for Ricky too? You know? So then when we ended up doing it, I was like, and then later I was like, oh man, we should have done Shane Smith, you know, the comedian. I was like, that would have been awesome, you know. But again, you know, hindsight's always 2020.
Hindsight. That's it.
But it was a blast, dude. And I hope we get to see you and your wife on there next year. It would be
For
super
sure.
amazing, you know.
Yeah.
But
We'll be on there.
you know, I just want
Already bought
to.
our fucking tickets.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that was a cool thing. I mean, be doing the pops and everything, they comped me, you know? So it was, you know, nice in that regard, and that's not why I did it. Was like, oh, how can I get on the boat for free?
Right.
Mwahaha. It was like, you know, that was just a pleasant bonus for me.
Bonus. Yeah.
You know, it was just a pleasant bonus. I mean, like I said, I still spent $1,300 on the boat. Still spent a lot of money on the boat. You know,
Yeah.
you still have to stay in Miami, fly to Miami from LA, all these kinds of things, you know. So there's you know, a lot of costs that are, you know, included in it, you know, in the whole thing. But so it was just one of those things where I was like, okay, cool. Like that was just a nice little bonus, you know. But yeah, I do hope we can really knock this thing out next year, you know, and just
Next
like
year
I
will be
said,
better. You've got a
yeah.
lot to build off of. You've already got ideas moving forward. I think it's going to be
Exactly.
fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
It's yeah, and like I said, man, I just want to be able to help people expand their perspective when it comes to merch, you know?
yeah,
That's really it. That there's so many ways to market it and manipulate it so that it works on so many different levels, you know? And when I show people that and they see it and they're like, "Oh my God," it's like that to me is like the best feeling is to
you should totally have a course where you just get bands and small businesses and just
yeah.
this is I'm gonna fucking teach you.
Yeah, that's ultimate in my opinion. That is like I think that's kind of like my final goal. Like is to teach. I still love making the merch. I still love being the guy who tracks everything down and makes it all happen. I love doing all of that. So it's like that part I don't want to stop ever. But my thing is I love to be able to, you know, yeah, teach classes at a musicians institute or stuff like that because again, it's like these kids are learning to play guitar and that's awesome, you know, and they're taking like music business classes, which is cool, but merch is never part of it.
Right.
And it's the one way that everyone can make money on the road now, you know, while everybody's bitching and
Not
moaning
even
about,
on the road, just make
yeah,
money, period.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
think about how bands survived during the pandemic. It was just
yeah,
merch. They couldn't play, they couldn't do anything. You had to just be like, hey, we're gonna make the pandemic t-shirt, stuck at
yeah.
home fest, you know, like whatever it was, you know. It's like cool, like that's and
I've got a
bands that
few of those.
yeah, and bands that did that or did the like live stream of like, you know, all of them playing, a song at the same time or whatever, stuff like that. Like that was the cool thing to see because it makes me, like as somebody who has a booth at like San Diego Comic Con, you know, um, after the pandemic was over and we got back to doing the convention again, like you really saw how many businesses just died,
Yeah.
and it makes you wonder about bands too because there were so many bands that were like, well, we can't do anything. Like, I guess that's it, we're done. And like that to me was like the saddest thing to see that mentality take over as opposed to, okay, we can't play shows. We can't do this. We can't see people. We can't really go out. We can't do this. We can't do all the stuff we used to do. How do we work around this?
Yeah.
You know? And when I saw bands that were doing that sort of thing, doing their, hey, buy the $10 ticket and watch our thing on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, you know, and people giving in money for that, like was awesome because it showed that these people were not just like throw your hands in the air, it's like I give up, that's it, there's nothing left, like nothing
Right.
can happen, blah blah blah, like, you know, to see people break through that, or at least to be able to go, okay, because during the pandemic, I mean, we were like, for me especially, my merch for the most part is event merch.
Yeah.
No events, no merch. So it's kind of like one of those things where you go, okay, like what do I do? My 9 to 5 is now nothing, and but I had people who were calling me and just being like, no, we need stuff for our pre-order. We need this, we need that. That's okay, great. Let's start promoting that. Let's start promoting the home stuff. I was making a
Yeah.
shit ton of face masks, and it's funny too. The face masks were funny because people were like, oh, like I fucking hate wearing masks and da 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 da. All these, everybody who didn't like it, but I was like, dude, I think it's a fucking great merch item because like when you're at a show and everyone's crammed together, like you can't necessarily see what shirt somebody's wearing, but if somebody's got your logo across their face, like you can't miss that, So I was like, dude, that's like such a great merch item,
So
to
it's
make
definitely a
everybody
branding opportunity.
right. I'm like, and that's why it's like every once in a while I'll tell that to people and they're like, no, because people hate wearing the mask. I'm like, if you're forced to wear the mask, then yes, you're gonna hate it. But if it's your voluntary thing,
Yeah.
if you went to a Slipknot show and it was like everybody who comes here has to wear a mask, yeah, people are gonna be like, I don't really want to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a
Right.
Corey Taylor mask the whole show, But it's like if it's voluntary and it's optional, I thought it was a great, I thought it was such a great merch item. I was like, it's easy, it's inexpensive, it costs about $2 each. You sell them for 8, and go and see the show, and then you can see who all your fans are. They're all right here wearing your fucking logo on their face.
Front and
It's
center.
front and center, right? Like, dude,
Yeah.
when I worked at Roadrunner and when we were promoting Slipknot, we made a fluorescent orange Slipknot street team shirts. So when I'd go to Ozfest, I'd be like, "There's my guy, there's my guy, there's my guy." There, like I could pick everybody out of everyone wearing their black shirts, and then
Sea of
all my
black.
orange shirts, all my orange shirts, I could pick out like no problem. It's the same sort of thing. So it's like that's why I love stuff like that where we can take something in a weird way as a negative and make it into a positive, and even just making that negative into a positive could essentially lead to a complete paradigm shift on what kind of merch is now cool, or a new kind of merch that nobody even ever thought about
Yeah.
you know and I think that's really what the pandemic kind of showed us too, is like, wait, we need to think about this differently. And as long as people do that, then I think that it'll that's what causes things to grow, is when you can really see
You
it
gotta
expand.
you gotta push the boundaries, right? Like and
And what is metal if not the most fucking boundary pushing genre out there?
yeah.
You know, I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, between troll, fin troll, Hobbit metal, and all the way to infant annihilator insanity. It's like there's nothing that we do that's not constantly pushing the barrier.
Right.
So that's why to me, when people are sort of ignorant about merch, I'm always just like, come on, of all the things that you can really stretch your mind out about, it's like this is where we break the boundaries. This is where we break the norms you know
Can we get a Oakley Dokley reunion on the boat next year?
Fucking hilarious, dude. If we did Oakley Dokley, that would be amazing. But that's right up there with like Max Sabbath and
Yeah.
What was the other band? There was another band that was out there that was like that. We used to see a band called the Sith Fits.
This
uh the Sith Fits, which were awesome. They were a punk cover band that came out dressed as Star Wars characters, but they took all punk songs and reworded them with Star Wars lyrics.
that's awesome.
So like "Hey Ho, Let's Go" and like like just Ramon stuff and Black Flag and the Misfits, and it was amazing. And like their shirt was just like a Millennium Falcon that went into the Misfit skull. It was like so crazy. I was like
That's
so
so
like
awesome.
stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like that's what I love is just when somebody can take something and just be like, you know what, we're gonna take this and we're gonna go in that direction,
Mm.
and really just make that work.
What do they
That's my
have?
favorite.
Elvana. Is it Elvana? It's
Ovana.
the Elvis fronted
Oh,
Nirvana.
the Elvis Nirvana. Yeah, there was a oh, what was the other one we saw? There was another Elvis one that was oh, what was the Elvis?
Clownvis.
No, but we have out here we have System of a Clown, which is the
Oh,
clown System of a Down tribute. That's pretty awesome. Like shit like that where I'm like, fuck yeah, bring it on, man. You kidding me? System of
that's
a
fucking
Clown, that's amazing. You
that's
know?
hilarious.
Yeah, oh, what's the other one? The Red Hot Chili Peppers one? Oh, Red Not Chili Peppers?
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, like, I love that stuff. It's just it makes me laugh. But it's yeah, that's the thing. It's like I just like that it just it it makes people want to do more. I mean, I it's funny. I look at the people I used to work with at Roadrunner, and it's like so many of them just like not in the music industry at all. And these were like
Mm.
people who are so in it, head of retail and all. And like now he does real estate sales, like, and then there's people people like me or you who are just like, no, like if I can't figure out a way to do music or to have music be a very integral part of my life,
Yeah.
then life kind of isn't, I don't want to say it's not worth living, but it's like, but just life isn't as
It
fun.
it's lost a good part of it, you know?
Yeah. Like a buddy of mine, he turned, I think, 60 this past January, and him and a bunch of people came out to Vegas. And I'm like, so what do you do now? And he's like, oh, I sell solar panels. And I'm like, dude, you were one of the people who broke corn on the radio. You know, like you worked at Epic Records and broke corn, and now it's like I'm selling solar panels. I'm like, what? Like, but for me, my whole life is how do I put Star Wars and Kiss into everything I do, you know? And that's why it's like everything has to revolve around those two ideologies, music and my love of pop culture. And how do I bring that all together? And somehow I figured out my niche was merch.
I
So
mean, you're
now
doing pretty fucking good with it.
somehow it's all working out, man. I get to make stuff for Beyonce and Drake, and I get to make stuff for Megadeth and Lamb of God. I'm like, and then my Stern Pinball is one of my biggest clients. So whenever they make a new Metallica machine or a new Kiss machine or something like that, I get to make all the like the banners and stuff like that for that. So I'm like, cool, like I'm still making Kiss stuff without
That's cool
necessarily making
shit.
it for Kiss, or I make stuff for like the Kiss mini golf in Vegas. Yeah. So I like to maybe I won't make stuff for Kiss, but as long as I'm Kiss adjacent,
Are you
I'm
you're in
perfectly fine.
Vegas?
No, 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 no. I'm in LA,
Oh,
but I go to Vegas constantly because since I
okay.
do trade shows and conventions, I'm in Vegas usually 4 to 6 times a year. Plus, we have Sick New World out there now, so out
Yep.
there for that as well.
I'll be out
But
there in a few weeks.
oh, for what?
Planet Desert Rock Fest.
Who's playing that?
So there's this band out of Belgium called Fire Down Below that
That
it's
sounds like an STD. Sorry.
it kind of does, but they are so fucking good. Like
Yeah.
I heard one of the songs on like Spotify and just fell in love. And I talked to the dudes, they're super nice, and it's their like US debut.
Oh, nice. When is it?
So I'm
When is
like,
it?
it's January 29th through
Oh,
like February 2nd.
damn it. Figures it's like right after I leave. My wife is looking at me because I'm gone for most of January because
Oh
I
shit.
do two back-to-back conventions in January, and then I'm one of the producers on a Roadrunner Records documentary. So we're doing our last round of interviews in New York, like the week right after that. So I'm gone. I'm doing these trade shows, going to see Snot twice, and then hopping on a plane and going to New York. So it's like when you're like January, she like looked at me like, really? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess so. That's
She can come too. Come on.
yeah, yeah. Oh, who
She's
else
like,
is playing this? Who else is playing this thing? Is it like I mean, is it a
it's
bunch of stoner metal bands or?
yeah, yeah. It's all like stone, like desert rock and doom. God, I
Cool.
don't even fucking remember right off the top of my head. Now I'm
Wait, what's it
like,
called again?
it's
Desert
called
Rock Fest?
Planet Desert Rock Fest.
All right, now you got me looking it up. Planet Desert Rock Fest. Who is on this? And now I'm like really like January 30th, 31st, and February 1st. Holy crap, Anoli.
Yeah,
In Vegas. Oh, it's at Vamped.
yes.
I like Vamped. Vamped is a cool.
I've
Oh
never
man,
been there.
Ramp York, Space Slug, Sasquatch is playing, Black Elephant. Oh my goodness. Sheesh.
Oh yeah, Solus,
Oh
Valley of the Sun, Mr. Bison.
yeah. Sun Crow. Fuck that. Yeah. I need to see some Monster Magnet again. That's what I need. I need more
Yeah,
Monster Magnet in my life.
me
They were
too.
supposed to play Sick New World twice, and they backed out both times. And I'm just like, fuck. But it's like, but they do so well in Europe that it's just kind of like they just end up going to Europe instead of touring the States. So I'm like, oh, if I got to book a flight to London just to see my band, just to see my guys play.
Here I go.
This is what has to happen. You
Yeah,
know, that's the beauty of being a metalhead too. Like I remember when Phil Demmel and Dave McClain were playing their last show with Machine Head, and their last show was in Santa Cruz, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm driving." I literally drove from LA to Santa Cruz, which is like 7 hours. Saw the show and turned around and drove right the hell back home. Got home at like 8 in the morning and just crashed out. But I was like, "No, as a metalhead, that's what we do."
that's what we do.
Like, I love Reese's peanut butter cups, but I've never thought in my life like, oh, I want to be a chocolatier. It's like, no, nothing quite hits you the way music and
Right,
metal does. You know,
right. All
nothing
right.
hits you quite like it. Sorry, I know
No, you're
I
good,
ramble,
dude.
I ramble and yak a lot.
Your your wife's home.
She is home and she is whipping up a pizza of unprecedented proportions.
Well, I'm not gonna keep you. Go hang out with your wife. I appreciate
I
your
see her
time,
all the
bro. Yeah.
time. She's here all the time. I see her all a lot.
I mean,
Nah,
she's kind of all right, I
she's
guess.
okay, I guess. She's pretty okay.
Yeah. Well, go enjoy your night with your wife, and
Thank you, dude. I appreciate you letting me talk my talk, man, and
hell
and
yeah,
do this whole thing, man. I really appreciate it. It's
it,
fun, you
it
know.
was a lot of fun for
And
sure.
yeah,
I'm actually gonna hit you up before the boat next year because I need I need some little trinket ideas.
that was so that just real quick, that was one of the things that I was really bummed out that I didn't do, but it was like I was so inundated with the whole pop thing and making sure that worked that by the time it was like, "Hey, are you making anything for the boat?" I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like I have too many things in my head to really think about it. But then when I saw all the shit that people made, I was like, "God damn, I really wish I had done something."
Yeah.
And then not only that, but it's like out of everything that I saw people had made, like I think I got three things. Like I was like, dude, like somebody had that merman sticker. I was like, from like I love Masters of the Universe. I'm like, dude, I would have fucking searched high and low for that thing. Are you
Yeah.
you kidding me? So I think for next year, I want to make I want to make some patches. I want to make
Oh,
patches for people and do so either patches or I want to make those like sailor captain hats, and just here you go, here you go, here you go. And just have people wear them around the boat. I think would be super fun. If I could find those inexpensively enough. But yeah, I would love to do something like just patches or something, just like Headbangers Boat and you know, I don't know, maybe a picture of me and my wife just kind of like doing something stupid, you know.
standing
Yeah.
there getting married with Randy.
Yeah, yeah, we could always do that. Well, we're actually, I don't want actually I can't say this yet because we haven't done it yet. But yeah, I mean
Okay.
there's definitely an idea there, of doing something along those lines, But yeah, it's so that's why next year I definitely want to do that. That's why I saw people already have stuff they made for next year. I'm like, holy
I
shit.
know. I saw
Like,
that and I'm like, you're a fucking year out, dude.
yeah.
You
Like a
already.
lot can happen in a year.
Yeah.
But I really want to really push it hard to the people in the message boards like hey, this is what I do. Like, come to me for this stuff because I can, I mean, again, there's certain things that, sometimes people will be like, oh, well, I can get, 100 stickers for $1. I'm like, all right, fine, I can't compete with
Can't
that,
match it.
you
Yeah.
know. But like, but if people want to do like the silicone wristbands or they want to do lanyards or something, like I'm like, this is what I do, you know. And if you're just gonna go to Vistaprint or some nonsense like that, it's like you're also gonna kind of get whatever quality they give you, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas for somebody like me, I'm like, you know, that's why I love doing stuff for metal bands because I'm like, you know, if you hire me to do something, like I'm a metal fan, like I can't let you down. Like I cannot. That's not in the cards. And if something happens that doesn't come out right, I'm first one on the phone making sure that I can make it right, you know? So it's like that's kind of my thing where I'm like, you know, it's it's kind of a FUBU thing, you know, it's like a for us by us kind of thing. That's what I
Yeah.
really want to sort of promote when it comes to that. So, you know, feel free to tell people like, hey, if you want to make something, check this guy out. He's actually does some pretty good stuff,
Absolutely. I
you know.
love that you're like, I mean, that, over 3 million different products you could fucking brand. It's like,
Right. That's what I was telling him. I'm like, dude, I mean, for Taco Bell, we made steak scented candles. I don't recommend it because your whole
no.
house will smell like charred meat. But seriously, I mean, I mean, I've done, cutting boards and just dumb stuff every which way, you know. I mean, back during the pandemic for Slipknot, we were supposed to make, like everybody was kind of carrying around their own utensil kits, you know, because nobody wanted
Yeah.
to use anybody's utensils. And so we were making ones that had the Slipknot S and laser engraved on them, and and people were like, "What? What? You can do that?" Yes, I can do fucking anything. That's what I always tell people. If it's out there, I can put your logo on it, and if it doesn't exist, I'll figure out how to create it. You know,
All right.
that's the beauty of it. You know, so that's really what the goal is just to figure out how to help people save their money and use their money properly. You
Maybe
know.
we can get the Boat Cupid to get some War Machine fucking branded underwear to wear around.
Oh my God, dude. That's the sad part is I can 100% do that. I could
The,
totally do.
do you know who I'm
He's
talking about too,
Oh
right?
yeah, totally right. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I saw him a bunch of times on the boat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you know what? It's like I look at people like that, and I'm just like, I can't do that. Just
Me neither.
walk around 24/7 in tidy whities and fucking white Cupid wings the whole time.
Oh, dude, I saw him the morning we were disembarking, and he was just like, I haven't been to bed yet. Like, I'm like, but at least you're not just in your underwear anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's kind of a weird way to get into an Uber to get to the airport.
Yeah.
It's
There's
just like, take me to Miami International, please. Like,
uh,
yeah, how about you put on some pants first, pal?
right.
Your
Please take
shoulder
the
hair
wings
comes off in my
off.
car. I don't need you molting in my car. You
Oh,
know,
fuck.
I just got this Kia Sorento, man. Come on, don't molt in my car. Need your back
Oh,
hair everywhere. No, he was super cool though. But yeah, I mean,
he
that would be
was.
really, I would love to do that. But I would not want to assume what his waist size is.
Yeah, no, no, me neither. All right, Ro, dude, thank
Thank,
you. I
no, thank
appreciate
you,
your
man. I
time.
appreciate the time, dude. I appreciate you giving me the time. I really do. The
Hell
boat
yeah.
was so fun, dude. Like, I hope we get to do it again.
We
I really do.
we do. We will. We're
We will.
340 something days away from it now.
Right. Right. Who's counting down at Christmas anymore? I'm counting down to the next Headbangers Boat.
Next boat, right? I'm like, I don't even like holiday season. That's like the end of October for me.
Yeah, right.
Halloween in the
Totally.
boat. We're
Halloween on the
good.
boat. That's pretty much it.
Hell yeah.
At
Well,
that
go
point,
have
at that
yourself
point,
a
everybody's just getting scratchers for Christmas
yeah.
and goodbye. You
Yeah.
know.
See ya.
Yeah, right. Later. Everyone's
Uh,
getting Bucky stuff. You know.
uh,
Well,
hell
thank you
yeah.
again, though, Tom. Drop me a line anytime if I can help out with anything else. And whoever's watching and listening, I hope you got some good information out of this.
Yes.
And definitely check out www.warmachinemerch.com. Let's make some fun swag.
Fun swag. Awesome. Ro, have a great night, brother.
You too, dude. I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Yep. See ya.